been known yet.
So we're at the same place we were last year. In 2014, the Congress has not passed all of the most important things for businesses that we need to be effective for tax. So we have no bonus depreciation, which is new property that you get to take 50% of that in the current year. We have no Section 179. We have $25,000 you can take immediately in Section 179. Last year it was $500,000, and in the previous years it's been $500,000. What they did in 2014 was they approved the extension of all of these items on December the 19th. I think they'll do that again. But what does that mean to you? That means that you have to make plans for your capital expenditures. You have to already know what you're going to purchase today or within the next few weeks. And so when you get that email from me, which I will send it on December 19th, as soon as I get it, I did it last year, I'll have it already ready and be ready to go make your purchase and have it all ready, and because it has to actually be in service by December 31st to be able to get that deduction. $500,000 for tax purposes, but for book purposes, you can depreciate it. Does that make sense? So it doesn't hurt your books. You can have book depreciation, which is different from tax depreciation. So all of these things, research and development has expired. Hopefully the IRS or the Congress will extend it. I think they will. The deduction for sales tax, work opportunity credit, above the line higher education credit, contributions directly from an IRA for someone who's taking mandatory withdrawals from the IRA.
Questions? Go ahead.
You mentioned bonuses, but what if a company is considering equity-based compensation when it comes to stock options, restricted stock? Are there any timing considerations from a year-end perspective?
From a tax viewpoint.
It depends on it's qualified or non-qualified. Non-qualified is not necessarily deductible. Qualified are deductible. So.
Well, you gotta look at the individuals too, because they could be put into an A and B position if you just exercise and not sell them. It carries over its cover. You gotta look at all sides of that type of transaction.
This is Earl Clements. He's one of our senior tax managers and very knowledgeable for any of the questions.
And I would tell you from the investment banking side that we would love to see that stuff in place by 12/31, so that if we're looking at a transaction in the next year, whether it's raising additional equity, selling part of the company, looking at all those issues with dilution and anti-dilutive and how those different pieces put together, so that everything is nice and clear and crisp before the end of the year.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If we could do it about the same time at year end, so that from a valuation standpoint, you're going to have it may be easier to value your year end.
Right.
Yes, I saw another question.
Yeah, question on anybody on the east side of the fence is worried what the IRS is doing with obtaining tax transcript returns for personal loans like mortgages and student loans. The IRS, I think, put a stat that there was 256,000 fraudulent filings using the online access to get the transcripts, and now it's taking 2 months to get that.
That's right.
Is that true?
That is true. It is absolutely very true, yes.
And don't be shocked either if someone tries to file a fraudulent return on your behalf and to get some kind of refund or something, and you get a letter. It happened to me. Okay.
It is rampant, and there's only one piece of good news in that, and that is that all of the IRS is being tied up with the fraudulent returns. So there are very few audits out there. There is no response. There is no response to any IRS notices. So when we send a response to an IRS notice, it is months and months and months before we get a response.
Ms. Schultz spends hours sitting on the phone holding just to talk to a human at the IRS.
Yes,
Okay.
it is unbelievable.
You
So-
advise going straight over to the office down the street, going in there and talking to them face to face?
No. Well, I will do that, but I do not advise that you do that. Never. If I were being audited, Mr. Clements here would be representing me.
No, I'm talking about trying to get the transcript. because
Oh, to get the
deadline to
transcript?
Close your house or.
Yes,
school
then yes.
deadline, I mean.
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Or
Yeah.
get really upset about it.
Yes, that's what I would do. Anybody else?
Has everybody addressed the two capitalization rules that were in place this past year?
Just for my information, how many people filed amended returns or filed protective claims on the depreciation rules last year? And if you're one of my clients, you better raise your hand.
How many of you know what she's even talking about?
Really?
The IRS passed a
Okay.
new rule, or a couple of years back, they passed it, it went into play last year on capitalization of assets or repairs and maintenance. There's two big items, there's more, but a couple of the highlights is, one, if you've got an audited financial statements and you make a purchase, if it's $5,000 or less, you can expense it. If you don't have audited financials, then if you purchase something $500 and less, you can expense it. The next bucket we go to is things that you might look into your repairs and maintenance. A lot of people used to say, okay, we spent $3,000 or $6,000 to repair an air conditioning unit or something like that. The IRS doesn't look to the dollar amount so much anymore as it does to the unit of property. So if you have, one example is air conditioning units. If you have a building and it's got 10 units and you replace 3, you can expense it from now on. So that could be a pretty big tax savings. So you can look and see what you're expensing as materials, repairs, things like that, as opposed to what you're capitalizing. You don't want to set it up and depreciate it if you don't need to.
It is huge, and especially for real estate, it is huge. It was new law. It was passed. It went into effect January 2014, and so it needs to be discussed. We sent out quite a bit of information on that last year, but we would be more than happy to discuss that with you.
The one other topic we didn't touch on this morning that I can't stress enough too is the whole identity theft. We always think it's everybody else. We were discussing this the last few days. You can actually, people can go online now and actually get a $500, $1,000, $2,000 loan, actually just going online and getting it. And in some cases, don't even have to produce a photo ID to get it. So if they have someone's social, they have their driver's license number and an address, they can go get a loan in your name online on the internet. And the next thing you know is you're getting phone calls from somebody trying to collect a loan. And so I can't tell you how often it used to be, there's LifeLock, there's all those things. The bottom line is you need to be checking your credit reports and see who's looking at your credit reports and whether you know those people. And then depending on one of the things that I was not aware of, but we're encouraging clients now, if you are the victim of identity theft and you have that, you can actually put an initial 90-day credit freeze on your credit report. And what that means is that someone has to specifically call and talk to you and verify before anyone can be authorized to have credit against your credit report. Now you can put it up to a year, but it costs you $10, $20. It's not, for those of us, we're not going to be out, doing things. And even if you're trying to get credit or you're trying to get a line for your business or whatever, it's simply a matter of documentation is all it is. But it keeps people from being able to come in and access your information and get a loan without you ever knowing it's even happened. And it is happening out there, and just tell you, rampant.
It is.
Yeah, Dallas
Yeah.
Police Department has 300 and some odd people now that do nothing but identity theft cases.
Remember, don't ever give your social security number
Yeah.
to an IRS agent that calls you because they have your social security.
Yeah.
And that is one of the frauds that's going on.
Yeah.
We sent out an email on that.
Yeah.
Anybody have
Any other questions?
For Well, we're obviously sticking around for any kind of questions that you have personally.